All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. In three of the last 4 years, Lane Kiffin has led Ole Miss to at least 10 wins. And this year, not only are the Rebels on pace to once again win 10 games, but they are looking like a squad that has the potential to get to Atlanta for the SEC championship game, which would be the first time in program history, as well as their first ever berth in the college football playoff. Now, you knew with the game today that it was going to be interesting to see how Ole Miss would respond following suffering their first loss of the season last week on the road against Georgia. And of course, going to Norman and to take on Oklahoma is never an easy task. But when it was all said and done, Mississippi left out of there with a 34-26 win, which was very hard earned. We saw the Rebels today possess the football for more than 35 minutes. They had, a big time knack for going out there and making the big plays on both sides of the football. Quarterback Trinidad Chambliss was 24 of 44 passing for 315 with a touchdown through the air, as well as 53 more yards on the ground. We saw Keywan Lacey with a hard-earned and physical 78 yards on the ground, as well as a pair of rushing touchdowns. Winston Watkins came up big with 4 catches for a buck 11. And then what can you say about this Ole Miss defense? They consistently went out there and made the plays when they needed to. 3 sacks of Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer, just to name some of the highlights that we saw from this Rebels defense in their victory today on the road. So I'm looking at this Mississippi team, okay, and they're 7-1 right now. And first and foremost, to me, it's a credit to Lane Kiffin because he's gone out there and he's doing things that the Rebels have not seen for quite some time now. We're talking about a club, like I said before, they're looking to make it 4 out of the last 5 years with at least 10 wins. We're talking about a guy in Lane Kiffin that has never had a losing season at Ole Miss. And you have to go back more than 100 years to find the last time that a Mississippi head coach did not have a losing season on his resume. I look at it like this. Lane Kiffin has really changed the culture in Oxford around this program. He's changed the expectations. And, it's one of those where they are one of the top programs in the Southeastern Conference right now. And, they're 7-1. The SEC is arguably the toughest conference in college football. They're right there in the mix. We know that Bama survived today on the road against South Carolina. So, of course, they're still undefeated. Texas A&M is trying to join them if they can find a way to leave Death Valley tonight with a win over LSU. But nonetheless, you've got some one-loss teams there. Georgia's 4-1. Ole Miss is 4-1. And, of course, Georgia does get the tiebreaker over Mississippi. You've got Texas sitting there with one loss. Granted, they're straddling that line, though. And then you've got Vanderbilt with one loss. And then, of course, Ole Miss is in that category as well. But I look at it like this. I'm looking at Mississippi's remaining schedule. Okay, they've got 3 out of their final 4 at home. They're home for South Carolina next Saturday. And South Carolina is always going to be a tough out. Alabama found that out, today. They've got the Citadel on the 8th of November, and then they've got the Gators coming to town on the 15th. And, of course, a lot of people are going to be talking about that game because there's rumors about Florida possibly looking at Lane Kiffin to be their next head coach. And then after a week off, Ole Miss will finish in Starkville to take on Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. Barring something unforeseen, okay, I think Mississippi is going to be a playoff team, plain and simple. You go like they're off to a very phenomenal start this year. They got a win over LSU. Um, going on the road and getting the win against Oklahoma definitely helps. And I mean, honestly, it's the SEC. What more can you ask for? So they, like I said, it's the SEC is not going to get more than likely three teams this year. They probably get four. But nonetheless, at some point, some of these teams are going to start bumping each other off. But if you're Ole Miss, everything is set up for you as long as you continue to go out there and take care of your business. I like this offense. Credit to Lane Kiffin. He made the change from Austin Simmons to Trinidad Chambliss. And to me, this Ole Miss offense looks a lot better with Chambliss at quarterback than it was with Austin Simmons. You look at the run game with Keywan Lacey. He's a guy that he can get physical with you, but he can also have those breakaway runs at the same time. And then, you look at the receivers with the likes of Trey Wallace. Ole Miss, they can mix it up with anybody because they play differently as far as, they can have the speed game, they could have the physicality, but they also have the defensive players to get after you. And there's a lot of NFL talent on this team. You need NFL quality talent if you're going to keep up with the Joneses in the SEC. And they have that. And again, that's a credit to Lane Kiffin because this guy has built this program. And I say built it from the standpoint that, he's taken it to heights that they have not been in decades. Okay. So I'm looking at it. Big win for them today. Let's see if they can build off of that and try to finish off their business in the month of November. And I'll tell you like this. If we're talking about Ole Miss as an 11-1 team, possibly at the end of the regular season, regardless if they get to Atlanta or not, they're playoff bound. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But nonetheless, big time win for the Rebels today. Like I said, going to Norman and knocking off Oklahoma is never an easy task. Character building win if you're Ole Miss. So, like I said, everything is in front of them to finish the deal and get to the college football playoff for the first time in program history. Let's see if it's going to be a November to remember in Oxford for the Rebels. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it'll be my pleasure to give you that follow right back in return. And the same goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.